Hello everybody, Dr. G. Duncan Harris, CEO of Capital Community College, and I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2021 celebration of Black History Month at Capital Community College. This year's theme is the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. As one of New England's the colleges that has the highest percentage of Black students, we are actually 36% Black. The importance of celebrating Black history during all months, and in February in particular, holds special ground here at Capital Community College. And so, once again, it's indeed a delight to be here and launch into our celebration and our closing ceremonies. 2020 was a year that had a profound impact on the Black community, and Capital certainly was not immune to some of the things that occurred last year in terms of the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, the loss of some of our iconic folks like John Lewis, and et cetera. And so our college has responded, and we actually went into various types of programming. We made a statement about being anti-racist, an anti-racist institution, which was affirmed by our various governance units. We actually received a grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities to build a exhibit honoring the Talcott Street Church, which was the first Black church and school in Connecticut. And so we received a grant to do that. Also, along with that, building out curriculum, which speaks to the importance of social justice and Reverend Pennington's historic role in Connecticut in that movement. We also launched a mentoring program, brother to brother and sister to sister, where we actually had a FYE course where we had 18 Black males that participated in that, and this past fall, Black and Latino males, and where they were provided with mentors and did reflection and talked about their identity as Black scholars. And so we're very proud of that work, and that we'll continue that. And we actually received another grant to support that work in support of Black and Latino males and females at the college. And so we're very excited and word and deed in some of the things that we're doing. Let me wrap by sharing a photo of my Black family. And so here's a photo, and I hope that folks can see that there. And when you see this, this is my grandfather, George Harris, Sr., and my grandmother, Katie Benford Harris. And so this is in Opelika, Alabama. And you can see how proud they were. This is prior to my father being born, who was born in 1933, but this is my uncles and aunts. And George and Katie actually had 11 children, and they were sharecroppers at the time of this photo. But you can see how proud they were. They wanted to provide this history in the form of this photo to me. And you could imagine how far my Black family has come from this photo taken, you know, around 1925, 26 to 2021, and his grandson being the president of Hartford's flagship community college. And so, you know, as we celebrate Black History Month this year, I just wanted to say from the Harris family to all of you, all of the families watching, that it's indeed a delight and honor to celebrate Black history today and all days at Capital Community College. Thank you.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the hope that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Oh. We'll be marching, fighting till the victory is won. Hold your head up, brother, till the victory is won. Keep believing, sister, till the victory is won. Till that day comes, let us march on till victory is won. Is won.
So, how many of you in here have a name that someone always keeps messing up when they pronounce it? This is for you. The struggle is real. My mom wanted to name me Kunta Kinte. True story. However, my aunt immediately stepped in. She feared society trying to make me the Toby. My aunt named me Tarishi. Tarishi, which is Swahili for messenger. I guess my family wanted to give me a name that remind me where we came from. We live in the generation of gentrification as some people bleaching their skin. So they figured next of kin were Africans. Yes, they're Africans bleaching their skin. So they figured names came and baked under the sun. My name comes from a place that believes in a proverb. It takes a village to raise a child. I believe it takes a planet to shape an identity. I won't apologize. You don't understand my euphemisms. Your world is too small for me. I think outside your bubble or your box, where the senses trying to be fit in doesn't make sense. Since race is nothing more than a systematic way of dissing on in the first place. Human. I was born on the east coast of America, the name that came from the east coast of Africa. My journey towards forever. Learning that my name was not safe. Learning that my name was born out of struggle. Learning that my name can be translated to, boy, look at you, lost yourself. Learning that my name is not safe. Starting in 8th grade, when a classmate called me Hershey. He found it difficult to pronounce Tarishi. I told you, I hate cubicle shapes. I should not allow someone to easily marginalize my life to fit inside boxes of chocolates. You can allow your English teacher to colonize your tongue so you can speak Stanislavski, Leonardo da Vinci, Sikorsky, learn to say Tarishi. It's easy. It's only 7 damn letters. T-A-R-I-S-H-I. It's really an acronym for Transatlantic Refugee, individually seeking human independence. I should not allow someone to try to change my name into a dessert, since my ancestors already made course for the sharks in the Middle Passage. The question is asking me, why would I call myself Midnight? If Hollywood ever made a movie about me, no matter how much I watch the history, you always taste the melanin in my pseudonym. I have learned that your names are not safe. Once you discover the translation, you are accountable for responsibility. It carries. My name means messenger. I am to deliver more than just these poems. There's a moral compass attached to it. I am more character than 26 letters of the alphabet. My aunt prophesied me into a martyr. No one admires the bearer of bad news, especially when there's the truth. This mouth is a bullseye waiting for the shotgun blast to silence me. How many God's messages you crucify if you realize I'm here to bring the word? Might not be the author of it. If I be both, that make me bipolar and ambidextrous. A black man that refuses to be silent is dangerous. A black man that chooses to be silent is still dangerous. My mom wanted to give me a name that remind me of roots. My aunts wanted to give me a name that remind my oppressors. Even if they colonize your language, they can never colonize your purpose.
So what Capital Food Pantry meant to me, I seen a need that needs to be met with our students, and I was a student at the time. So I got together with some other women that was in the church group that we had started, and we started a food pantry. And it was my job to go around to the stores and tell them what we're doing, and we got donations from Stop and Shop and Seed Town and stuff like that. So I try to continue that path. I work at the Friendship Service Center, which is a nonprofit organization for housing the homeless. So and I'm on the NRZ board of New Britain, so I still give out that hand and try to start food pantries, help food pantries, look for donations. So if there's anyone out there who want to give donations, call Tammy Roman, 860-797-7222. Thank you so much, and thank you for the award, Capital Community College.
It is Black History Month. It is February 2021, and we are here. I am honored to share some poems with you, Capital Community College. My name is Lynette Elizabeth Johnson. I am a writer, a speaker, a published author, and a poet. So I thank you for the invitation, and I will share two poems with you. The first is I Eat Wherever I Want. Thank you. More than one stranger's saliva stung your scalp and slid from your temple to your cheek. Tiny droplets on your quivering lip like it wasn't nothing. Beet red screaming faces chanting ugly hateful. An angry crowd is not as reasonable as an angry individual, but you stayed seated. Growling dogs wanting to taste your buttocks and thighs make it so you don't sit nowhere else no time soon. Hoses posed to douse you in scorching wet, like your blazing audacity was a wildfire threatening to turn the world as they knew it to smoldering black ash. Yet you continued to march. The image of lifeless humans swinging from a tree etched in your memory, and you had only ever heard about that. The underlying possibility that you, too, could get yourself swung all the way to heaven didn't keep you satisfied with backdoor services. You disarmed them. Their weapons were ineffective if they couldn't prevent you from demanding human-like respect. Your knees didn't buckle. What scripture did you meditate on before you got there? I eat wherever I want to eat. Never wore a stranger's spit. Your valor made all the difference. And that poem is a tribute to freedom fighters, the people who knocked down the door so that my life can be a little easier, who confronted racism head on, as if it were their destiny. And I'm always grateful. And whenever I'm showing my appreciation to people who fought in wars and soldiers, I include them in my thoughts and prayers, and many are still alive today. That was not a long time ago. So that, again, that poem is I Eat Wherever I Want. Thank you. That is in my book, I've Been Meaning to Tell You. The next poem I'm going to read is from the same book, and this poem is entitled Inheritance. And Inheritance is, it's a poem that it's really a poem that was drawn from the idea of extending more visible compassion around poverty. And I'll just read it. So, Inheritance. Empty pockets for purchase redemption, prosperity promised, but who's going to protect them from these pulpit culprits thieving and preaching to practicing heathens and desperate saints believing we ain't all worthy of the kingdom? 'Cause good fortune only comes in cookies and $5 scratch-offs. And an uncle who may have left you a little something when his liver couldn't take no more shots of dark liquor. They pray for miracles, like an extension on the heat bill and a reason to turn down an offer for some company on a cold night if he might could give you a little something on that heat bill. Sometimes some things should be easy. Get up on Sunday mornings and pray. Too broken to get out from under broke. Ain't no escape. Them 9 to 5s ain't paying without no degree. And you ain't getting no degree without no money. And you ain't getting no money without no good job. And who about to give your ass a good job? So you cop some weight. You learn a twerk that can make the earth quake. So you shake it till you make it out your predicament. I ain't mad at the dreams of spitting 16 bars so strong you can carry your entire family on your back. I ain't mad at how much work you've put into the accuracy of your jump shot. That ain't a stress reliever, it's a scholarship. I ain't mad at the J's on your baby's feet if it makes you feel like things ain't as bad as they seem, or the way you contemplate escape by any means. You should be recognized for your sobriety out here in these streets. And your faith. You stick around because you know it has got to get better than this, and you want to see it. And that is inheritance. And that, for me, is acknowledging that it is hard and that the system is designed for some people to struggle, and that we have to, it is our duty to be compassionate, to help when we can, and to acknowledge that there's a lot of inequity. And so today I speak to you, students of Capital Community College, on your journey to learn. And as you are learning history, Black history, you're also making history. I hope you are proud of yourselves and you keep up the good work. And I'm excited about what you will do with what you learn. Thank you.
Hey, how you guys doing? This is DJ Buck from Hot 937, the program director in the morning show, the janitor. I do everything at the station. And, I got a call the other day. I was being nominated for an award for the Community Service Award. I don't know. I didn't believe it because sometimes I don't understand what I do. I don't understand the power of what I do, and I still don't do it. I come to work every day and I do a job, you know. And one of my main goals, I always say when I come into work, is that my voice can make people laugh, can make people cry, can make people think. You know, if I can leave each shift knowing that I touched one person, knowing that I talk to thousands and thousands and thousands of people that listen, but if only one of those people walk away with something that I said, it means so much to me. And I guess that's part of what people see that I do. You know, the microphone is in the studio for me, but I use that microphone for the community to call in and to say what's real in their mind, to call in and to cry, to call in to laugh. And that's my job. And in the pandemic, this COVID thing has really brought radio back. Radio was designed to be listened to in a car, on your way to work and from work. And people don't realize how radio is basically programmed. You know, while you're in your car, you hear your favorite song. You may say they play the same song over and over again. But it was designed for you to spend 20 minutes at a time in your car, going to work and coming from work, going to work and coming from work, and hearing your favorite song. And that's why we program the way we do. But it's not the songs that are the most important thing to me on radio. It's what goes in between the songs, the conversations, you know, the contests, you know, the laughs and everything, the things that we say in between those songs. Every song's gonna sound the same. What makes us different from every other radio station, even satellite, is what we say between those songs. Whether it's me, Big Man, Jenny Boom Boom, Late Night Love with Linda Reynolds, which is an amazing show, Kid Fresh at Night. It's how we bring those songs together to make them sound different each and every night. And that's what I love. That's what I love about radio, and I love about being the voice of the people, the community, the community's microphone. I get to hear what people think each and every day. You know, why am I on the air? Why is DJ Buck the program director, and why is he on the radio station? talking. The reason why I still go on the air every morning, because I don't believe I can program a radio station for Connecticut if I can't hear the voice of Connecticut. If I can't relate to the people who listen to this radio station and actually pick up the phone and talk to them, I can't do my job. So that's why I do the radio every single morning, because I love talking to Connecticut and hearing what you guys have to say. And I love providing this microphone for Connecticut, whether it's a rally, whether you guys are having a get-together, whether it's information that you need people to hear and you have no other way to get it to them. We are the vehicle for the people of Connecticut, the airwaves, and I provide that all day, every day. It is not all about the money. Of course we got paid advertisers, but some of the most important messages can't afford to be paid for, and that's where we come in at. I think when I got the call, I said, is that what I do? Do I provide that vehicle for the people of Connecticut to be heard? To make people laugh during a time like this when there's nothing to laugh about, you know? And I guess it hit me. I mean, yeah, I think that's what I do. You know, if you know me, I take nothing for granted. I come to work every day, you know, just to do my job. But when I get an award like this for my services in the community, it really kind of makes me stop and think of what am I here for? What do I do it for? And I've been doing radio for over 35 years. I've gotten awards, I've gotten plaques. I've gotten plaques from Mary J. Blige. I've gotten plaques from Jay-Z. I've gotten plaques from DJ Khaled. Plaques from Drake, you name it. I've gotten plaques from those. But those plaques aren't as personal as something like this. You know, this means a lot to me because it is telling me that what I do every day is worth it. It makes a difference. And that's all I ever want to do, is make a difference. Thank you, Capital Community College, for even nominating me for this award. It's something that I'm going to hang on the wall right next to those Drake. I'm going to move the Drake out the way. This is going to be bigger than the Drake award. I appreciate it. If there's anything that we can do to help you guys, let me know. Our microphone is your microphone. I really appreciate it. Ida B. Wells Award, the Power Influencer, DJ Buck, in recognition of your noteworthy efforts in the use of broadcast media to promote social and racial justice. It's amazing.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Somebody come here, give me a kiss. It's all bliss and happiness. But if you ever considered 1/3 of American, January 1st might be considered Heartbreak Day or Hiring Day, whatever you want to call it. It's all tragic. There's no magic. There's no dancing under the disco ball or dropping on confetti. Just enslaved families waiting with anxiety on the eve of New Year's, wanting and to be separated on the next day. It's all economics. We were the first blockbuster, the first red box, as slave masters rented human chattel to other plantations to pay off their debt. This be the status quo until the government banned it, the transatlantic slave trade. It didn't go into effect on New Year's Day in 1808. And yes, we did celebrate. No electric slide, no disco boogaloo. We did it the best we know how. In the pew, in the church of the Lord. We did this every New Year's Eve, even in 1827, when a white mob attacked us in the church. They fled away inside, but we know how to survive because we wade in the waters. My children, wade in the waters. We did this every New Year's Eve. To this day, we still go to church, attending late night services. This is why you call it watch night. We must always stay vigilant, always stay resilient, always on lookout for equality or equity. I know what it's like to leave church in the middle of the night to be blinded by police flashlights. The officer, whatever you want to call them, mistaking my identity for a runaway slave because we used the moon to lay our escape. He walked around my car looking for any reason to perform a legal search. Even today, in the daylight, we stayed going to church in the pew, hands praying, stretched to the ceiling, hoping that the carpenter of this building isn't another Dylan Roof in the 21st century. A white mob of men flooded Virginia with tiki torches, chanting one nation, one people, and immigration, as if they've forgotten that their ancestors, the Pilgrims, were the first illegal immigrants. You see, America has an identity crisis. She refuses to accept that multicultural. Her religion is entitlement, and her God is right privilege. Every American holiday is associated with a dark past. Thanksgiving, Independence, Columbus Day, history. There be for us, this nation. There be for us until she acknowledges her racist legacy. History will always repeat itself. Like, let's make America great again on Dr. Luther King's day of assassination. That's why it's important to remember Black history, because every single year you're counting down on New Year's Day, and I'm keep counting for every Black and brown body that dies at the hand of bigotry. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200, 500, 1,000, 2,000. Keep counting and counting and counting.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Randall Ward, the Director of Student Activities here at Capital Community College. Today we have an awesome presentation by Dr. Markeisha Davis. We've also invited our BSU President, Mr. Michael Sawyer, who's here joining us as well. But before we get into the presentation, I'd like to just give a little bit of background on Dr. Davis and her presentation, which is considering and celebrating the Black family in America. And a little bit of background on Dr. Davis is she's currently an assistant professor of literature and Africana Studies with Hilliard College Department of Social Sciences at the University of Hartford. She also serves as the director of the university's Africana Studies program. Her research and teaching centers on the Black creative expression and social change activism. All right, and Dr. Davis's forthcoming book, based on her dissertation, explores creative expression and the consciousness raising during the Black Power era of the 1960s and 1970s. She was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, and now currently lives with her precious books in Western Massachusetts. Capital Community College sends her a warm welcome, and we thank you for sharing today's presentation with our staff, faculty, and students. Welcome once again, Dr. Markeisha Davis.
Hello from Massachusetts, and happy Black History Month. I'm so excited to have been invited to participate in your discussion and your celebration, and I look forward to sharing my thoughts with you all, so let's go.
All right.
Okay. So as was noted, my conversation today is called Considering and Celebrating the Black Family in America. And in my purview as a scholar, as an African-American woman reared in this country and, you know, saturated in the history of my people, our people, I thought that when this topic was proposed, the Black family, I wanted to pay tribute to them because there's been so much picking apart from the outside, from the inside, from, you know, like beneath, like that. No one gives too much credit to the endurance of Black families. So that's what I want to center my discussion on this afternoon for you. So I hope that you enjoy it if you're watching this on YouTube. So here we go. And if you have any questions, please feel free to note my email address to the right. It's markdavis@hartford.edu. I would love to hear your questions. But let's get into it. All right, so one of the most debated studies of Black family life, from its historical structure to its so-called deterioration, was a report by then Assistant Labor Secretary Daniel Patrick Moynihan, written in 1965, entitled The Negro Family, The Case for National Action. Commonly referred to as the Moynihan Report, the goal of the study was to outline social and economic factors that have negatively impacted the progress and stability of Black families in the United States, and addressed to President Johnson's War on Poverty platform. The report argues that first, the decline of male-led nuclear family households in Black urban populations. Second, the impact of Black matriarchy or woman-led families on facilitating this decline. And finally, a so-called tangle of pathology resulted from the structure of Black matriarchy and male absence. At the center of his argument were these particular claims about Black families, whereas his view overall of these issues that he sees and he researches from Black and white scholars alike of Black family dynamics, American family dynamics, shape his philosophy on policies that he wants to present to the president, to Congress, but he never quite gets to those in his report. It's a matter of him really just presenting the problems and feeling like, you know, the white predominance political structure of this nation isn't ready for both at once. They can't handle the report and the solutions attached to the report. That's one purview I've read in interviews with him after he presents this report and moves on with his career. So it's really like interesting that he just stopped short of giving the problem and leaving it to the wolves, essentially. But more than 50 years after this study and its debate, which spurred active exchanges within and between factions of our nation, from conservatives to Black power activists, Barack Obama, among others, echoed some of his claims in the study, namely that self-help and male leadership and presence were key, not the whole solution, but notable points. That Black families bear the brunt of responsibility for changing the course of this so-called pathology. But necessarily, author Ta-Nehisi Coates pushes back on this critique, challenging Obama and others to consider the broader story. Coates writes in 2015 that Moynihan outlines the issues facing Black families, as well as weighing in on the impacts of systemic and structural racism and white supremacy at the core of outcomes for Black families. The issue then was with its interpretations by the media, by politicians, by activists, by scholars and educators for their own means. Coates writes, and I quote, "Moynihan's aim in writing The Negro Family had been to muster support for an all-out government assault on the structural social problems that held Black families down. Instead, his report had been portrayed as an argument for leaving the Black family to fend for itself. The undersung and thusly unincluded policy recommendations that Moynihan pushed for were either brushed aside or died on the Congress floor. Through the 70s and 80s, job readiness and opportunity expansion programs sponsored by the federal and state governments were brushed aside for more investment in mass incarceration and stringent, more targeted criminal laws, alongside the criminalization of predominantly Black urban populations. Working class, underemployed Black women were elevated in public discourse as the representative models of the, quote, welfare queen stereotype. An image used by neoconservatives to attack social safety net programs. Then to now, a consistent barrage of often successful attacks on social programs meant to decrease the opportunity and wealth gaps between races in this nation have been chipped away at, from affirmative action to federal student aid for low-income and underserved populations. Incarceration, again, reared its head to confront occurrences of drug addiction and mental health situations through the 2010s, although the rural and suburban white opioid crisis ultimately shifts the national response to these issues. Many of the issues I previously mentioned are things that have become embedded in national discourse for social change, especially in the political cycles of 2016, 2018, and 2020. However, the aim of righting wrongs done to Black families and communities, especially in the cases of accountability for said wrongdoings in the past by politicians like Secretary Hillary Clinton, President Joe Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris. It's not the end of the story, nor is it the beginning. The story of Black families in America is much richer and broader than a federal report and political stump speeches filled with promises or doom, or both. As a scholar of Africana studies and Black American culture, I know that despite the odds outlined by Moynihan and many, many others, the stories of Black families in the United States are stories of endurance, reconfiguration, innovation, and survival. As an African American woman who is a product of my own Black family story, I have also borne witness to these things, and I know that some of you all have as well. From the middle passage of the slave trade to contemporary passages of Black families and individuals from city to suburb and back, or nation to nation, endurance bookmarks each narrative we see or experience. Against tremendous and unimaginable odds, our African ancestors, enslaved and shipped to the Americas and Europe for seemingly indefinite servitude and subjugation, found ways to communicate and support one another across linguistic and cultural differences, and built imagined family networks and nuclear traditional families as best they could within the unpredictable circumstances of their new realities. They taught their children, African Americans, Black West Indians, Afro-Latinos, to do the same. The new configurations of identity and family for these groups comprising this new African diaspora of displaced sons and daughters encourage stronger bonds and a reimagining of family lineage. These were not without the tragedies of separation by sale, by violence, by removal. However, my ancestors and some of yours fought tooth and nail to maintain the connections of their families. In a number of cases, after emancipation in the United States, many former slaves who were sold away from family or had spouses, children, siblings, or parents removed from them wrote or had someone write letters to local newspapers across the country seeking their loved ones. Family was everything to them. Family is everything to us. Then and now, within our respective rigorous odds, Black families have had to resort to innovation to expand their endurance and lend support to those within and without their bloodlines. For the enslaved, when families were severed by trade, escape, or death, the estranged, the orphaned, and the widowed often relied on reimagined family networks to fill the void of being pulled out or left behind. Generations of virtually unrelated uncles, aunts, and cousins have come to us in this way, and they are, by all matters of the meaning, indeed family.
Oh,
The importance of this.
Dr. David, there's just a little bit of static on your end. I'm not sure if it's your microphone or if you're moving a piece of paper on your microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just now?
Yep.
Or the whole time?
It's good now. It hit it a couple of times, but you're good now. You can continue.
Okay. So then and now, within our respective rigorous odds, Black families have had to resort to innovation to expand their endurance and lend support to those within and outside of their bloodlines. For the enslaved, when families were severed by trade, escape, or death, the estranged, the orphaned, and the widowed often relied on reimagined family networks to fill the void of being pulled out or left behind. Generations of virtually unrelated uncles, aunts, and cousins have come to us in this way. And they are, by all matters of meaning, indeed family. The importance of this innovated, expanded meaning of family was not to mimic or echo the reflection of dominant society's portrayal. It was to ensure the survival of one to another, to look after one's neighbor, one's children, one's aging parents in their absence. The village is family. This extends to today, as we see extended networks of families still taking in young or elderly relatives, neighbors adopting kids or seniors in their community and celebrating them and supporting them. This history is even reflected in the building of ballroom houses and ballroom culture in Black and Latinx LGBTQIA+ communities, wherein a house mother will open her home and her network, or their home and their network, to often displaced and discarded youth who might otherwise disproportionately fall prey to drug usage, exploitative sex work, or violence. Family is not always indicative of bloodlines. Family is what sustains us regardless of its form. So then I ask, what exactly is pathological about refusing to break, even when fractured? Working class Black families in the United States have withstood the brunt of consequences for our nation's continued failure to address the intersecting ills of racism and poverty that disproportionately impact BIPOC citizens. As a result of these failures, the sustainability of the so-called traditional family, with or without a woman at the helm, has historically been impacted for Black family units. What we continue to see in most circumstances, however, is Black families surviving despite these odds, and many more Black youth succeeding in spite of them. Our families may not always look the way they look on TV, or fit the mold of many a myopic or short-sighted analysis of traditional families, but we endure. And we continue to push for real solutions to the problems of our society, ultimately created and to date ultimately the problems that are created and continue to be exacerbated by inaction. The story of my Black family and many of yours is one of survival, endurance, and innovation. Let us rejoice in them this February. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you for that, Dr. Davis. I really value that presentation on the Black family. I too know the diversity in my family it relates to the Black family and the lineage that they all come from. So with that being said, I guess one of my questions is, based on what your studies have shown you as it relates to the Black family, what would you say the status of the Black family is today, in today's time, with as far as the diversity of it, the negative, images we may see of it throughout various depictions of us on television? What is your thoughts about where the Black family overall just currently is, and where is it going today?
Sure. I personally think now, and I would say maybe roughly my childhood in the early 90s, late 80s through the present, we've had a more diverse and saturated representation of Black families and what it means to, build one's family, sustain one's family, recreate one's family network in the absence of bloodlines. And I hope that people in my generation, in my parents' generation, the youth, they're seeing this. Because, while we can pick apart much of it, like, why is everybody this color? Why don't these people, live in a community like I live, et cetera, and so forth. Like, there are a host of critiques you can bring forth. But I see us represented in a more full way. And I have to credit, politics, my own politics aside on this, I have to credit Bill Cosby for having the foresight to put a Black middle class family on television. I also have to credit to the makers of Good Times, because, prior to them elevating the role of JJ, there was a more holistic look at what it meant to be a Black working class family living in a Chicago tenement, right? So the work of these mostly television creators, even though film has done tremendous work on this as well, has humanized the experience for people outside of it, and it's given people inside of the experience of being in a Black family a representative model of themselves, so they don't feel like there's a zero image of them. But as far as, who we are and how we are outside of the realm of television, I think that the work that is being done by us is being done. People are going to fall into the cycles that they fall into based on their environment, social exclusion, historical marginalization, right? So, there are obvious issues like that impact Black families disproportionately. You know, we're not alone in most of those issues, but we're overrepresented. But we are definitely, we've done the work. It's time for the government to catch up, I think. You know, with regard to gun violence, with regard to police brutality, with regard to, you know, securing and maintaining our schools. Our generations of our people have done that work for themselves against the odds. And we need our municipal, state, and federal governments to catch up.
Thank you. Michael, did you have a question?
So I guess I kind of want to like low-key kind of respond.
I'll go for it.
It's kind of funny that you said like, you know, how like there's a lot of like the whole Black family dynamic is like in a very important part in a lot of Black culture. And I'm actually of like Brazilian descent. So like Afro-Brazilian culture, it's a big family, you know? So it's kind of funny because like in Brazil, my mom used to tell me how like Brazil, when you go look in Brazilian like TV shows, it's very mostly whitewashed and only shows like the stereotypical Brazilian family, which is like of Portuguese descent. But a long time ago, around in the 1960s, I believe, my mom said like there was a show that came on, where it caught a lot of Brazilian people by surprise because it was a show that had legit the little Portuguese translation is called The Strange Family. And the only thing strange about them was that they're Black. And so because of that, it really caused like such a confusion within the like Brazilian masses to like, especially to like the white Brazilians. But to the Afro-Brazilians, they felt seen because it did not show like, you know, Afro-Brazilians as being like how they stereotypically are shown, which are like thieves, murderers, prostitutes, and all these other negative connotations. It just showed them as like a regular Brazilian family that goes day to day with like any other Brazilian, you know? And it's funny to see, it's actually quite recently, like I think everybody knows the show Everybody Hates Chris.
Yeah.
But like it's kind of funny because like over here the show was like or like you know did fairly well, whatever. However, if you go to Brazil, that show is like so big. And it's it's like because it reminded a lot of Afro-Brazilians that this is legit the whole family dynamic back in Brazil. And it's just like this whole family just proudly being Black and just living out how it is. And like a lot of Brazilians could see themselves in that. So when it became so huge like that, I didn't think they would think that it would have like such a cultural impact because it really makes me happy to see a lot of Brazilians see themselves in like TV and shows because that's what all they have is media attention, you know? So
Yeah, definitely. And I thank you for sharing that because I had no idea that Everybody Loves Chris was huge in Brazil.
it's crazy.
It makes a lot of sense though, because it's such a robust representation of a Black working class family. That if you are, you know, a working class family of African descent anywhere in the world, you might see yourself in Terry Crews, you know, or Tashina Arnold's characters, or your kids might see themselves in the kids, you know, so it's really powerful. And I think that this question of representation is what drew me to researching the 1960s and 70s outside of this presentation, because there was such a revamping of the ways that artists, you know, including film producers, television producers, poets, authors, visual artists, photographers, they wanted to change the way that Black people were seeing themselves. You know, white people could watch, cool. You know, other people could watch too, that's great. But they really had this firm target audience of, you know, Black people in the United States, you know, Black people around the world in some cases, and you know, like as a product of that, quite frankly, we got Sesame Street.
Right.
Because for the Children's Television Workshop, which was, you know, based in, you know, the inner city, you know, as a local access programming arm They wanted to give Black kids in the 1960s representations of themselves on television, you know, and Latinx kids in New York City. And so they put together these puppet shows, you know, with these like random neighbors of all races to show how diverse the city is.
Right.
And, you know, Sesame Street was modeled after Harlem. You know,
Right.
to
That's
anywhere else in
true.
the world. Yeah.
Right. I was
So
actually
like
gonna
there's a history of representation there too from that
Mhm.
era.
I was actually just going to say like how I feel like recently like a lot of like shows that have to do like the Black family dynamic. I don't know about you, but I feel like back in the day it was very much shows like a lot of like, you know, Black beauty in all forms and all like of people. And nowadays, it seems like it's kind of, I don't know, to me, it kind of feels a little bit whitewashed. And I
Mhm.
think it's because of like, you know, the influx of now Black culture being like seen by everyone. And now the masses and media is now like pointing, like, you know, going into Black culture and like profiting from Black culture. And I guess nowadays they're kind of cutting less on like sort of like Black issues. And if it is has to do with Black issues, very like, I don't know, to me, very whitewashed. For example, the show Grownish,
Mm.
like, you know, a lot of the characters in Grownish are, most of them are Black. I mean, not sorry, not Grownish, Blackish, my bad. It's like, you know, they're Black, but however, they're like the acceptable Black, if you know what I mean. Like they're more lighter skinned. Like,
Yeah.
and it comes to show that it's very much Black, but in the sense of like mixed race or or a lighter skin tone.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating about Blackish is that I don't know if that was Kenya, I think it's Kenya Burris, the creator. Yeah. I'm not sure if it was his intention to do that, to show that, you know, even Black families can be blended, hence the name Blackish, because Rainbow is clearly a multiracial person, you know, which in turn like informs her children's experiences. But, you know, like Anthony Allen just in this, you know, he's caramel, he's brown. You know, he's not a representation of what some people perceive as calling Black a dark-skinned person like myself or Issa Rae. But it's, you know, it's interesting because while I see the criticism and I have it myself, like that story also deserves to be told.
Right. Well,
because there are lots of Black blended families. We're a diverse little bunch. We are here.
well, team, I hate to cut it short. We're a bit over time. So, you know, this was a great conversation. And I wish we still had our auditorium where we could continue on with these types of thoughts and perceptions of what we see in television, et cetera. But this is a great conversation, and I hope that it starts to expand and other people will start to have more conversations about not only the Black family dynamic, but the family dynamic here in America. But as it is Black History Month, you know, to focus on the Black family is very important because me as a, you know, Black man, I do feel like there is some, you know, altering to the Black experience on television. So Michael, I totally understand your point, and I value you as our BSU president to come on this presentation and share your thoughts. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for joining us here today with Capital Community College's presentation / conversation on the Black Family Experience 2021 in February. So Dr. Davis, it's been a pleasure, and it's great to hear from you today. And if anyone wants to get in contact with her, her information is right here on the screen. And other than that, I'll let you close us out if you like, if you have any final words.
Well, thank you for having me, and happy Black History Month.
Thank you. All right.
conversation with a good friend of mine, and he said, racism will never end. And then I said, yes, it will end, but something dramatic needs to happen. And then this came to mind. An open letter to aliens who want to visit our planet Earth. Do not come here! There's a force hiding behind a brass shield, put here to serve and protect. But they wrongly imprison every chance they get. There's a force hiding behind dark skin and the light. No, I am not talking about Star Wars. This is no Jedi mind trick. Luke, I am not your baby daddy. Do not ever come here. They will Tuskegee you. My people, those are the first-hand experience. Your first contact, be your last. We will stop and frisk at every corner or a cloud. We will interrogate your resistance. We will stand our ground and put you in it. We will shoot first, never ask questions later. Shut the fuck up. Wait, I know what happened. You were for Men in Black. You flashed that memory wand. That's okay. I'll appear for this. I wrote the rest of my palm. Do not ever come here unless you come here with a bunch of little soldiers looking like Marvin the Martian carrying, oh my goodness, it's the Iridium Q36X Plus space modulator. You mean nothing more than a science experiment unless you come here with an infinite supply of oil. Then we will embrace you. George Bush and Dick Cheney will come out of retirement. Their personally signed intergalactic peace treaties will learn and steer your ways. Right before we Native American you, make offensive slurs about your culture. We'll call you Predator, Body Snatcher, Star Trek Kardashian. Not to be social with Kim, but she could be an alien too. Make Hollywood films about you. Wait, newsflash, you already did. Now the movie ends. We win, you lose. Do not freaking ever come here. We are the center universe way of thinking. Every alien movie is our Independence Day, and you're District 9. This next line might sound crazy, but you come here might stain my human skin. Your existence gives us perseverance for once. Look at me as more than 3/5 of human. For once, they'll find new aliens to hang in Mississippi. Your living quarters be concentration camps. It won't be church and cross they burn in the South. It'd be X-Wing fighter jets. You come here, we will exploit you. Make alien dating hotlines. And Captain James T. Kirk from the 70s be the spokesman. Are you looking for hot, interesting, extraterrestrial sex? Call now. Me and Bones will take you to your candy shop. Listen, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a club promoter. Do not ever come here. Scientology will market you. Make bumper stickers that read WWDD. What will Vader do? Egyptian tiles that build more pyramids. The eminent domain you. You're not in the state for gentrification. As much I don't want to come here, a small part of me does. Me, green the Vulcan peace sign. Man, this is true meaning. Green represents. May one race live long enough and prosper.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the darkness has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Oh. We'll be marching, fighting till the victory is won. Hold your head up, brother, till the victory is won. Keep believing, sister, till the victory is won. till that day comes. Let us march on till victory is won.